Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of mendacity? The falsehood knows. The falsehood knows. Who is the falsehood? Yes, siblings, ladies, and gentlemen, it's the falsehood. Here at the Mystery Font in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the falsehood is assembling for presentation. And on October 28th, performance will commence on the anniversary of the dedication of the Statue of Liberty. And approaching that time, you may see more particles of this assembling meditation. We are the reality distortion fielding. The falsehood will tell you intuition is faulty. The falsehood will claim the press is our enemy. The shapes in front of you, do you know what they say they be? We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality distortion fielding. The fielding is real, and the real is reeling. We are the reality distortion fielding. We are the reality distortion fielding. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of mendacity? Who knows what grows below the nose of a mind of shadows? Is that a 5 o'clock shadow? Those aren't shadows. Those aren't pillows of knowledge that flows. Those are cankers of traumas that bloat. Good gosh. What hokum. What hokum be this? Who has donned the falsehood?
are the reality distortion field. We are the reality distortion field. The falsehood will demonize your sensitivity. The falsehood will claim the press is our enemy. To cry fake news that preempt remedy suggests false identity. We are the reality distortion field. We are the reality distortion field. The field is real and feels real. We are the reality distortion field. We are the reality distortion field. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. We are the reality distortion field. We are the reality distortion field. We are the reality distortion field. The falsehood will groom you not to question, just believe. The falsehood can rob you of the choice you would perceive. We are the reality distortion field. We are the reality distortion field. The falsehood will tell you it's the one and only. The falsehood will tell you it's the one and only. We are the reality distortion field. We are the reality distortion field. The falsehood will slow down intuition most days. We are the reality distortion field.
He told us how he would do it. He told us how he would do it. He told us how he would do it. You remember. Do you remember? Do you remember that there was a time before there were peels and sheets of hokum spreading in strains throughout space and family and neighborhood? You remember what it was like before we submitted, right? Do you remember the time when he said he would keep us in suspense? I remember that pretty well. I think this is one of those moments where a shocking boundary violation destroys the ability to perceive threat because the threat is overwhelming. A blitz upon the central nervous system by a bad faith actor can be a coercive lockpick. Because once someone has grabbed you by the crotch, they're there. And a defense must be manifested, or you will never stop staring into those eyes again. If you don't want to live your life through the eyes of the predator controlling you, it's time to leave the abusive relationship you individually and personally are in with the falsehood. You are in an abusive relationship. It is so far beyond not normal to be terrified and terrorized, and yet to live as if it's normal for the person doing that to be able to contact you whenever they want, and to not be able to create boundaries. And the reason that I know that you and your nation was attacked is that all of us are in an abusive relationship with the falsehood. And it will be that way until we tell a violent white man who will not leave that it is time to go. And if we do not, we will find out just what a punchline to a Donald Trump joke feels like. We are in an abusive relationship. When has a falsehood shattered your life? When did you have to start over? When did you lose family or a friend? When did the school play go to your best friend because they didn't tell you they were coming to audition? When did you go to jail because someone dropped your sock in the basket? When did you never see them again because they believed the falsehood? And who would ask to be able to deliver falsehood? Who would ask to deliver harm? Who would assert that they transcend everything? Who would assert that they deserve the right to harm us in order to preside? What is presidence? What is it to preside? To sit before a meeting, to watch over, to be in charge, to be the officiator of proceedings and the one who leads, who is in charge. We all preside over our lives, but we choose a president to preside over the nation, to preside over all of us in the executive branch, in a system with checks and balances. And it's interesting. What is the watch? The watch is what Colonel Jessup is referring to in A Few Good Men when he talks about there being men on a wall. That someone is watching and caring about what happens. And if it's not the president there up on the wall, the president hears a report when something is headed this way. And the president receives report and knows with counsel and by their own acumen and acuity, they know what to do and how to talk to us about it so that we don't panic and so that we act in accordance with our best ideals so that we can deliver a plan that fashions safety and consent through being adequately and well advised. But what happens if a fly gets into the ointment? What happens if someone decides to put themselves before us? Could it not be then that a mass of shape is seen and we don't quite know what we're seeing? We may think we have an idea, but we only know something is coming. And the one who is supposed to preside tells us about a shape. but doesn't tell the truth. You see, when Donald Trump learned in January of 2020, on January 28th, that COVID was developing and spreading and would be the greatest security threat of his presidency, he decided not to tell us that in fact it was far deadlier than the flu, that it was spread by breath, and that it was vastly dangerous and deadly. He chose to hold on to that information while strategically and intentionally lying to us about safety, telling us that COVID would simply go away, that warm weather would just make it vanish, that it was totally under control, while allowing millions of people to be dosed in an act of chemical and biological warfare and sabotage. This was likely a plan hatched and instigated by and with M. Stephen Miller. M advised Trump to destroy the pandemic team, and M did M's best work to dismantle and leave in total chaos detention centers, to create a hotbox of a purge. And we in fact lost over 1.2 million people in America due to COVID. While New Zealand saw, dozens of people lost? We were attacked by Donald Trump with COVID-19. We were attacked by Donald Trump and M with COVID-19. COVID-19 was utilized by Donald Trump as an attack on the United States of America. And we are in an abusive relationship. Don't say he wouldn't do that. It has never been safe to say that he wouldn't do that. Yes, well, the statement we have to make is this. We all know it's true that we're having trouble with this hunt. And it is, after all, a two-flanked hunt. We are after the watch. Because someone disabled or sabotaged or broke the watch. In 2021, someone broke the watch. The watch of the then president approaching what was to be as normal a peaceful transfer of power saw the watch shat upon, shattered, and in the dust. What became of the watch? This is a watch hunt. And we are on another search. That second search. And it is joined by previous and current presidents alike. In fact, multiple presidents have called for the identity or any information that could possibly lead to the identity of the falsehood. Will we never know? Will we really never know? How could this be? They slip in and out of the room. How could this be? How could this be unless the falsehood has accomplices? Or unless we are blinded, we're disabled, we're buckled by hokum. There's more, though. It's not just hokum. It's not only hokum. We are afraid. We are terrified. And we are justifiably afraid. But we are also afraid of fear itself being leveraged. What is this place? What is this place? Why am I here? Why am I here? Is this safe? Where am I? Do I get a refill here? Wait a minute. What? Why do I feel like there are all kinds of people, but I don't see anyone? Where? Oh. This is the imagination of democracy. Why do I know that? How do I know that this is the imagination of democracy? Why am I saying this is the imagination of democracy? What does that mean? I know what that means now. Now I said it, I know exactly what it means, but how do I know exactly what that means? What I mean? How do I know what I mean? I'm standing, am I standing here? What is this place? What is this place? Coach Walls will tell you. Coach Walls will tell you that we don't make plans that we don't want to use. Coach Walls will tell you What is the virtue What is the virtue of deriding virtue? What is the virtue of deriding a virtue signal? Perhaps the only thing wrong with a virtue signal is if it is false. Perhaps telling other people that you get to control them and make them fit your ideal of what they are supposed to be is an insanity and a totalitarian form of erasure. Why would J.D. Vance be interested in destroying no-fault divorce? That's an interesting question. Why would a bear be interested in destroying no-fault divorce? That's an interesting question. Perhaps because that would allow legalized rape to de facto be law of the land, or in fact would help it become law of the land again. J.D. Vance is a patriarchal terrorist and a Nazi, or he's acting like one and going to change his tune. But that seems unlikely. You don't ask for immunity from punity for atrocities unless you want to be atrocious. What safety is there in saying he wouldn't do that? What safety is there in saying we are not looking at a desperate situation with people put into roles that demonize and scapegoat and disable and harm? Why are we making women live lives of enslavement and terror that can simply be alleviated by teaching men to wipe their emotional asses. None of us are garbage, but we are being treated and being groomed to treat one another like garbage. And who fosters the idea that degradation of people or of ideas or of institutions and amenities and dignity is smart? Who tells us lies and only continues to preside by rushing us along to another burning roof that he has set alight? And what if we were able to simply pause? And instead of being moved to another shell in the ongoing shell game, what if we simply looked at something that came in over the wire and stopped all incoming traffic and just sat with what he said? Because if we drill down on something that is entirely corrupt and false and are not rushed off or are not entirely broken to think that there might be something we could find, we would see and hear him saying, if we stop testing right now, we'd have very few cases, if any. What? Does that mean that he doesn't care if people die? Does that mean that they're not people, so it doesn't matter? Does that mean that he wants us to think he doesn't trust science? Or does he not trust science? How much is him trying to terrify us with what possible terrible scenario is really happening? Is there any number of musical chairs he wants to limit us to, such that we could have any hope of understanding what this malicious, toxic communication is supposed to do? This is abusive communication. It is terroristic, abusive communication. It shows incompetence or volition. It is much like January 6th, because where was he? Was he in a place of such incompetence that he did not know how to bring people to Washington without creating a bloody coup? Or was there volition? Was there volition? That is, that he meant to do it. Was he incompetent or full of volition? Because, in fact, anywhere in between volition and incompetence is a disqualifying, murky mess that answers the question, is Donald Trump qualified to run for or be president or to hold any position of power ever again? The answer is no. You cannot find any point along this line that is not disqualifying. I was so bad at bringing people to an amphitheater of democracy on January 6th that I almost broke democracy forever. Disqualifying. I intentionally fomented lies and promised proof that I failed to deliver while telling people to fight for their country or they'd lose it. Because I wanted to create a coup to hold power, which I did until I was stopped. Did he do it by accident, or did he stage an accident? Who is the falsehood? October 28th is the anniversary of the dedication of the Statue of Liberty. And we will endeavor to discover who has donned the falsehood. This is the mystery font. Good gray. Good gray. Good gray array liaised, mind mazed. Precious plays. Yes, after all, it is in the font of mystery and through contact with this that we are indeed aware. It is good and interesting to be able to find a way to fashion contact with meaning, to hold the very character's substrate and create new think. The ink of managing and understanding and healing meaning. Who is the falsehood? The world may never know. But if we keep trying, we may discern not a tell, but we may be able to tell who has donned the falsehood. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the falsehood, coming soon from the mystery font.
You are in an abusive relationship. Shocking boundary violations are one common grooming tactic of a narcissist or dark triad personality. If someone in your life points into a camera knowing you'll be looking at the view screen and pulls their finger like a trigger, looking into your eyes, saying, I could shoot someone in the street and not lose anyone, it is a good indicator of a bad situation. You are in an abusive relationship. Who has leveraged and climbed upon a fog of falsehood? Who has donned the falsehood? Who is the falsehood?
That's the fear of separation. 6, the fear of separation. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He didn't mean to cause a panic. Prepared people can plan and plan quick. He didn't mean to cause a panic. He meant to draw iceberg Titanic.
Join us next time on another installment of The Falsehood. We are together going to ruin Project 2025. Good gray thus. And indeed, through the kind prehension, we manifest the goat escape. Good gray, liaised, mind may be named, may be game to play today. Liaised, fine, phase. Imagination aim, imagination haze, imagination aim. Mind made become, become became. The falsehood. Mind liaised. It appears I have been having an episode of some kind, a mystery font 42. Ope Intuit. Yes. Yes, that's it. That's it. That's what this place is. Right. Yes. Yes, of course. Well, that's better. Well, we've had a bit of an episode of Mystery Font 42. Ope Intuit. Now, there will be a moment where we once again revisit the first time. The first time we witnessed this threat.
Have been warning at rallies recently that this election is rigged and that Hillary Clinton is in the process of trying to steal it from you. Your running mate, Governor Pence, pledged on Sunday that he and you, his words, will absolutely accept the result of this election. Today, your daughter Ivanka said the same thing. I want to ask you here on the stage tonight, do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely, sir, that you will absolutely accept the result of this election?
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time. What I've seen is so bad. First of all, the media is so dishonest and so corrupt, and the pile-on is so amazing. The New York Times actually wrote an article about it that they don't even care. It's so dishonest, and they've poisoned the minds of the voters. But unfortunately for them, I think the voters are seeing through it. I think they're going to see through it. We'll find out on November 8th, but I think they're going to see through it.
But, sir, there's
if you look, excuse me, Chris, if you look at your voter rolls, you will see millions of people that are registered to vote. Millions. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from Pew Report and other places. Millions of people that are registered to vote that shouldn't be registered to vote. So let me just give you one other thing. So I talk about the corrupt media. I talk about the millions of people. Tell you one other thing. She shouldn't be allowed to run. She's guilty of a very, very serious crime. She should not be allowed to run. And just in that respect, I say it's rigged. Because she should never, Chris, she should never have been allowed to run for the presidency based on what she did with emails and so many other things.
But, sir, there is a tradition in this country. In fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner, not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's horrifying. You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him.
You have been warning at rallies recently that this election is rigged and that Hillary Clinton is in the process of trying to steal it from you. In fact, one of the prizes of this
He conducted a year-long.
What I'm saying
principle.
is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
So we're at this. Is there any difference, essentially, between saying, I'm not going to answer you, I'll tell you in the future, or I'm not going to answer you, I'm thinking of the future? This Nazi told us he also will keep us in suspense about whether or not he will follow the terms of service. He's asking for a job he's saying he won't do. He's asking for a job he wants the keys to, and he's telling us he's taking it. That is an abuser. If you find out your new beau had a serious domestic abuse problem, and you ask him about how can I trust that you're not going to have this problem with me, and he says, I'm focused on the future, run. J.D. Vance is not a serious adult or a safe human being. He is a patriarchal terrorist. 100% plain. These are the findings of the mystery font. It's what the results show. And we trust, but verify. And that's how we can make the goat escape. Once again, join us next time on the FalseHood. And we will be perusing soon enough the mysteries of who possibly could be the one known as M. The world may never know who is M. And who could possibly be the FalseHood. We may never know. We may never know who breached fact and truth. But if we ever found out, we might realize that they had told us if we don't like them using that tax loophole, if you don't like me using this tax loophole and you think me a lout and a scoundrel and a bad man for doing this, I'll tell you I'm smart to do this until you get rid of it. I'm a smart businessman, so I will use this. And if you don't want me to, if you think it's bad, get rid of it. And by the way, I can't do this job you want me to come back and do unless I get the right to do anything, and in fact, terrible things, in fact, the worst things, in fact, to go too far. I want to be able to go too far and kill people I don't like. I want absolute immunity and impunity. That does sound like quite a broad range. Are you saying you'd obey the rules, but you'd like the rules to be such that you have no rules? You just want the rules to be that you trump everything? You sound like a real card